So today we'll be looking at JavaScript deep dive. I'll be looking at regular expression, JavaScript hoisting, concurrency, and API. So what are regular expression, or we also call them regex, right? They are patterns that we use to match characters combination in strings. I know that sounds not really explanatory, but let's look at the practical so you understand what I mean. So this is the way we define our regex. You first state what you want the name of your regex to be. So let me say in this instance I'm using regex, right? Now you tell us your pattern, like this hello right here. This is the pattern. This is what you want to match. Then the flags that you want to use. This hi, it's a flag for making something case sensitive. So in case, okay, now let's see this here now. All right. So okay. Let's go here. So I'm gonna print this, but I'm going to call this regex2, right? So this is the way we're supposed to define it. So now I want to test this now. I'm going to say console log. Yeah. So now I want to test another one now. So let's try this, running this. I need to save this. And let's run. Okay, let me remove this. Can you see? So this actually contains hello, right? Now let me try something else. Yeah, that should be false. So come in, let's run this now. So can you see it doesn't contain hello? Because we use this high flag, whether you put capital letter or small letter or mix with capital or small, as long as it has this hello word, it matches. So that's what regex do. We use it to match patterns of what strings. So just like we did now, we can also do this. We can also use the regex constructor to define our regex. So if you look at this now, this one, if you look at this now we can say, okay, let me just keep this. So I could say regex 3 is equal to new regex of what? See, so look at the way we did this now. This is the pattern, new regex of what? Flag. Now we're telling it you should create a new regex of this thing, of flag. Now I'm calling this out now. This is my regex 4. Let's call this regex 4. I'm not saying new, the hello and the I. So this one is just to show you that this is how we define it. So this your hello and I now is the same thing over here. The same thing as new. You use the regex constructor, then you call whatever you want to call them the matching pattern. Do you understand? We have different matching patterns. I'm going to show you here. So look at the common the matching pattern, that's your flags. We have the G for the global search. It will find all the matches, not just the first match, to find all the matches and tell you, let's say something occurs 3 times, tell you 3 or 4. Now the I, which I told you is already case sensitive, to check for all occurrences of case sensitive, whether capital, whether lower class. Then this is for multi-line, to search multiple line for whatever attribute you define. We have S, allows to match a new line characters. Then we have the U. You remember we have UT8 coding, so it allows to Unicode match. Then we have the Y, the sticky search. It matches from the exact position. So at your free time, you can come and test all these things and see how we use them. So look at this now. We have const of string, hello world. So let's see now. So let's run this and see. Hello, this is index 0. Can you see? We are asking it for the hello. Now, hello world, this is what group. It's telling you that this is occurring in group, but it cannot give you the description because this is supposed to be index 2, but now it's picking them together. So it cannot give you index 0 and 1 and index 2 and 1. So that's why it's giving us this group undefined. But look at this. It's giving you all the occurrence. Then another example is replace, which you can use to replace. Let's assume you want to replace world now. I want to be using let so that we can be changing this value. Right? So let's print this. You'll see the way it will change now. Save and then let's work. Now can you see oh sorry, we printed result, no result 2. So let's print result 2 now. I'm going to run this. Can you see instead of hello world, it's giving us hello JavaScript. So we've used regex to replace a word. So it has a lot of applications. You also have the this to check for the index. Okay. So we have the split string now. So let's run this and see how it works. Can you see now? So now what is the index of words world now? So it's going to 1, 2, look at the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's definitely returning 6 because you have six characters in here, right? Then we have the one for splitting. So you have this is not an array. This is meant to be an array, right? It's meant to be an array because this is a string. Let's say this is a string array, right? Then you now have a fruit called split string. We're now splitting. Now we're not telling you to split with what? Comma. Split with comma, right? Split our, this is what this thing here is going to be what is going to use to split it. So when you check here now, you're going to see that it's giving you a what? An array, and it's splitting with, see this now, the commas. So look, and now everything on its own is going to be one individual. So this is what it does. So we also have regex methods. We have the test. It will test if a pattern exists in a string and return true or false. So as you were saying the test now, we've done something like this before. So now we have the exec method, which also has execute. Now it will execute a search and return the first match of the search. So look at this now. Assume we have this word now. You are saying regex execute hello world. It will return world. Immediately it find the word because you said our regex is word. So when you execute, immediately find word, it will return the word immediately. Now we also have special characters. We have the dots. It matches any character except the new line. We have the D, any digit from 0 to 9. We have the W, any alphanumeric and underscore. We have the S, white space character. This one matches the start of a string, the end of a string, and a word boundary. We also have quantifiers. Now the quantifiers have different tasks to perform. So you have this star and minus. Now it matches zero or more occurrences. We have the plus. This plus matches one or more occurrences. So we used to add this star at the end of your definition. Let's say you have I, you now add the star at the back. It will not match zero. So if that thing occurs, it does not occur at all. It will tell you that means it's zero. Then if it occurs one, then it's one time. Then we now have the plus. We only use this one for when something occurs once or more than once. Then we now have this one. It might occur and it might not occur. That's when we use this. Then we now have the n matches the whatever you state inside this bracket is what it will match. So whether it's one or two, so it matches exactly that number of occurrences. Then we now have the n and m. This one between them. So if you say it's from 0 to 2, to check from 0 to 2. It says from 1 to 2 to check from 1 to 2. Then we have the ABC to check for ABC, whatever you put here. This one is not ABC, so like opposite of ABC. So now let's look at an example. Right? So let's check this out now, guys. So we have something called is Gmail, and it's taking a parameter called email. This is a function. Now we're giving it a regex expression. We're telling it that it should check A to Z, right? Right? And 0 to 9. So that means you can combine alphabet and words together. That's the meaning of this, right? Dot percentage plus at Gmail. That means we are adding, like, you know, when you want to do your say, let's say you have Bisola 0 at Gmail. So we're telling it now that we're going to add what at Gmail. Then we also, after that, we also have what .com. So if you pass a wrong Gmail here now, it will tell you this is wrong. That's why this one is saying what is true and this one is saying what is false. Because this one says at Gmail. So at you define at Yahoo, it will tell you it's true. But that's what it helps us to check if the value that the user has entered is correct or not. So that's one of the uses of what regex. As I also used to check for number now. Like look at this number format now. You have a phone with this. Now, this is regex. So this is telling you that what? This is 3 to what? 3 to 4 words. That's to 4 numbers. So if you're checking this now, it will tell you invalid. But if you put something like this now, it will tell you valid because we've already defined it that this is the way it should be. So let's assume now you want to check for country code. You're working on a website. If you want to check for, like, let's say another country that has 9 digits, you can use this regex now to test if the number entered is, if not, is incorrect. You want to check for Nigeria, you know how many numbers we have in Nigeria. You put the numbers there and you check for it, and if it's incorrect, you tell them, please enter the a valid number. The number you entered is invalid, blah blah. So this is how we check for all those things. And look now. I'm sorry, I should save this. And let's run this. So can you see? This is true. Then if I check this one now, let's do this now. This one should be false. Can you see false because we didn't put it the way it's meant to be formatted? So we now have JavaScript hoisting. So hoisting is a JavaScript mechanism where variables and functions declaration are moved to the top of their scope during the compilation phase before the code is executed. So we move some codes to the top during compilation because we believe they should come before that particular function or before that particular block scope. So now we have some key points about hoisting. The first one is function declarations. Now, the entire function declaration are hoisted to the top of their scope. Let's assume you have what? Look at this now. This is function declaration. Now, we are declaring this function with, right, guys? We're declaring this function with even before we defined it. So because of this would actually hoist this function up. So even when we do this now, it's going to say what? Hello, it's still, and you can see that we called it before. So this is one of the advantage of hoisting, right? We also have the variable declarations. Now, the variable declarations, variable that are declared with var are hoisted, but they are not initialized. They are assigned an undefined value until the code reaches that. So now look at this now. We said on console.log a variable of a. Now, this console.log of a now, it will first assign it a value of undefined. Then it will now go down, read the value of 5. After it read the value of 5, it will now print it out to you. So that is how it works. So if I'm doing this one now, I turn this. See, reference error cannot access B before initialization. So you see that we didn't define B, right? So look, because this is a let and this is var, that's why I will tell you that var is the one that you can use to use that's why it's called variable scope. So that this is the one we can use. Because of this, it's giving us, if you look here now, it's giving us undefined because it's put. So now if I'm putting sort of log a here now, it's going to print out the value now because it has been read, right? Let's run this, but this other one will still give us error. Can you say now undefined and 5? But because we're using let, we're not using variable, so we can't access this. It's not going to give it undefined. It's not going to store it anywhere. We also have the class declarations. Class are hoisted but are also in temporal dead zone, like let and what? Const. So if we look at this now, we have what? We have a class of objects, which is my class. Now, this my class, you have a constructor. Name this dot name is class example. Now, let's print this now. Can you see? Reference error cannot access my class before initialization. So this is how it works. Then let's look at what is not hoisted. The const function or arrow functions are not hoisted as functions. Only the variable declaration is hoisted. That's what we just see now because we could not hoist our class function. Now, the best practice is to always declare variables and function at the top of the scope to avoid confusion caused by what? Hoisting. And we should use let and cause instead of variable to prevent unintentional bugs with what hoisted. So we're going to concurrency now. Now, concurrency is also known as asynchronous programming in JavaScript. Now, it's a programming approach that allows tasks to run independently without blocking the execution of other operations. So it's more like you have a function that wants to fetch data. Now, let's assume you have a website that a restaurant website. Now somebody is ordering food. So while you're waiting for the food, while you're waiting for the food to load, like let's say you placed order, while you're waiting for the instruction for the food, let's say you choose the cookies and juice to be sent to the people that are in the kitchen. It's going to tell you, please hold on, your order is being prepared. Then let's say a few minutes, after a few minutes they tell you, your order is on the way. So that is an asynchronous programming because while you're waiting for your function, for your food, they will get an alert at the back end that, oh, this person ordered this food item. Then they'll start working on it and you get something else like please wait while it's loading. So that please wait while it's loading is not stopping the program from running from the backend. It will go and start checking for data. So go and start fetching data at the backend, but it's not going to stop. So that's one of the advantage of concurrency. Now we have key concepts of asynchronous JavaScript. We have the single threaded nature, meaning that it can execute one task at a time, right? Then we have the event loop. It manages asynchronous operation. It checks for tasks in the queue and executes them when the core stack is empty. Now we have common asynchronous patterns. We have the callbacks. Now this function are passed as arguments to be executed later. That's those are callbacks. So like I said, if you ordered food, now it tell you wait. So it will first keep it somewhere. So immediately the backend confirm that the food is ready. They will tell you wait, and they will now do a callback where they will now tell you your food is on the way. Then we now have promises. So the promises now you can now add dots. So when after you submit your form, there can now be a dot. Then after you send your request, then you do not add a dot. Let's say it will take 5 minutes or 5 seconds. So those are your promises. Then you now have your async or await. So it is built on promises. Now let's look at some asynchronous tools. We have the set timeout. It will delay the execution of a function, right? We also have the fetch API. It makes HTTP requests to the servers. We have the event listeners. It waits for user actions like click or key presses. We discussed this in the former class. We have the event listeners. It waits for user actions like click or kick. Then we have the promises. It handles what the future values from async operation. Then we have the async or await. Now this is a cleaner syntax for working with promises. Now, example in action. Let's look at this function. So we have a function called fetch data, right? So now this is the function. Now we're telling it to return new promises of then resolve it. So we're telling it set timeout for two seconds. Now before this timeout, we should resolve data fetched. So if the data is fetched, it will tell you the data has been fetched after 2 seconds. Now fetch data. This is your what? Your promises. Then data console.log whatever data that has been fetched. So if I run this now, can you see it took about 2 seconds before it told us data fetched. Let's try it again so you see it very well. Can you see that? So that is how we use what? The promise. Now this is still the same thing. I think this is using callback. Now this is using promises, right? So you can check it out. Then let's look at async. Now you have your function called fetch data. Now we are using promise here, right? Now you now have a function called async display data. So this will now wait. It will await this data from fetch data. It will come to this place and get the data and fetch. So until this data reaches here, nothing is displayed. Then after that, it will not print data. So we're here now not telling display data. So it will now after 2 seconds, you now say what data fetched. Can you see that? So this is when we use what? Async. So now we have an adventure dashboard. So we're going to create a project folder with index.html styles JavaScript. Now we'll add HTML to include 4 sections with buttons and output area. We'll style the dashboard with CSS and we'll use set timeout to delay a message use fetch to get a joke from an API, create and resolve a promise, and use async or await to fetch and to display the data. So I'm just going to copy this. This is our HTML. Now, scratch that. Let's fetch. Again, we'll try again. I just do this. Okay, it's even just, this is the end of it. So let's just fetch this, guys. So this is the end of our HTML. So let's go here. Right. So you have a, like they said, four section with button, start adventure, waiting to begin, get a joke. So this is where I'm fetching the joke, right? And let's go to body. Remind me not to try and copy everything at once. Since this one let me be in peace. Wow, you really don't want to work today. So yeah, I want to see what this looks like first. So this is what it looks like. So this is our async adventure, get a joke, like you said, no joke yet, waiting to begin, trigger. So this is our buttons, you know from this. Then you have a div element. You have a div element with borders. I don't need to explain all this to you. You guys should be able to understand this from one look already. So I'm not going to explain the CSS to you already. You can go there and check padding, margin, what indentation and everything is here. So now let's get our Cocoa, which is what our JavaScript. So let's explain this now. So we have the document that get, so we're getting this start button from here. So we have a start button with an ID already. So we're now adding an event listener. So when we click on this button, it knows that what document.get element start log the test content. So we're telling you that immediately we click this, it should tell us that adventure is starting in 3 seconds. Then we are setting a timeout of what? 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds, it's going to change the text content to what? Adventure is what? Launched. This is what this means. Now, we're getting, this one is for the second one now. We're getting the element by ID joke button. So this is our what? Joke button. This is the number 2. Now, we're adding an event listener of click. So anytime we click on this particular button, it's going to go to this website, official joke api.appspot.joke. Then, so now this is where we're using our promises now. We're telling you now that after going there, you should get a response of rest and you should convert the response to a JSON object. After getting there, then we should actually then data. Data should not be document.get element by ID of joke log. So this is joke log. There is a P already, no joke yet. So inside that P element, it should now get this JSON object. It should change it to data.setup to data.punchline. So it's going to get a response from here. So this response, there's going to be data.setup inside this response. There's data.punchline inside this. And this response, we are passing this response to this data object. So now I'm going to get data.setup from this response. Data is now going to put this inside your paragraph element here, which is this no joke yet will now turn to a joke that has been received from what? This place. Then we now add a catch block to catch error. Should in case there is any error, we're telling that now dot get element by ID joke log fail to fetch joke. Then you should print error. Whatever it could be an internal server error or a network error. So it's going to print it here that we had an error. We are unable to fetch the joke. So we have the other one. This is the third one. This is a promise button now. This is a promise button. So it's going to get it by ID, promise button, add an event listener, a click. Now we have promise log. We are not getting this, guys, this promise log here, the paragraph elements now, right? After getting it, we're not telling to do what? Fake promise is equal to new promise, resolve or reject. So we're getting a timeout of 2 seconds. Now, promise resolved after 2 seconds. Now, promise, while waiting to tell us waiting for promise, then after 2 seconds, that's dot then. After 2 seconds, that's fake promise dot then message. Promise log dot text constant is equal to what? Message. So whatever message we set, we're going to receive it. Then we now have the what? Await button. We're using async or await now. So this is the same thing we did here, but this time around I'm using await and async method. So click, you have to add async so that it will know that we're waiting for an object. Actually, most times we use async in the back end. Although I don't know, some developers might not use it, but me, I use async a lot, and I think most developers use it because it helps us to understand our code more clearly. Because with this way now, okay, you have something called await log, and the test content initially is fetching joke with async or await. Now you're not telling it you should fetch the joke from here. You're not telling it to convert this joke, this response. Now data, you should await this data, then convert it into JSON, then store it into data. Now await log dot text content will now be data setup, data butler, then you get your error. So this one is kind of easier for people to understand. Me, it's easier for me so I use this async a lot. So let's go and test our this thing now here. So I'm going to just refresh, guys. Can you see that? So that is it. Get a joke. So this is the joke we got here. How can you tell that a vampire has a code? They start coughing. So we have the trigger promise, waiting for the promise. Promise is resolved after 2 seconds. Then let's use this. Why did the opera go sailing? They wanted to eat the high seas. So, guys, this is all about your concurrency. Now we have APIs in JavaScript. Now, an API is also known as an application programming interface. It is what allows developers to interact with external systems, services, or browser functionalities. Now, it extends JavaScript capabilities by providing pre-built methods and tools for tasks like fetching data, manipulating the DOM, and other things. Now, we have different types of APIs in JavaScript. We have the browser APIs, and they are built into web browsers to enhance functionalities. Example of it is the DOM API. So we've done this document.query selector. You can select an input element. You can even use you can select the ID element too, just like we did before. We can also use the fetch API. That's fetch, get, or post. We have the geolocation API. So we can use the navigator.geolocation. So you use this in the browser on your F12 or your console. So you can do this there. Practice on your own. We have the third parties APIs. That's external APIs like the weather API, the payment API, social media, that's Twitter. So these are APIs that are built by external bodies. We have the customers API. So these are APIs that we create for your own applications using either Node.js, PHP, Java, or whatever you want to do. So examples of, let's say a fetch API. You have an example of fetch API already. Can you see? This is example, then if response is okay. So it's just more like the same thing like we did for that joke. So you just get your data, you print it, and you catch errors, you do your try catch. So that's basically more like it. Then we now have key features of JavaScript APIs. Asynchronous. Most APIs like fetch, use, promise, I told you, async or await for not blocking. Then for error handling, that's why we always use the catch to catch our error so that we don't have bugs in our code. Then we have the cross-origin request. So this one, you handle this in your backend. So now this one's, okay, so we have a random user profile generator. So create a folder called random user, 3 files, that's index, style, and script. Design the interface. Am I supposed to be? Yeah, this is your project, guys. I'm going to remove all this code. This should be your project. I'm changing it out lab, so it's gonna be a project. I'm going to remove the code, and later on I'll put the code back. So you guys should do this one. Generate a profile, follow the instructions, right? You have sample codes already, and that will be off on JavaScript deep dive. Bye guys.